Today, here we are, folks. I think will be the third night that I'm in this particular anchorage due to high winds. There's a big hill here that is kind of blocking me, and I've stuck it out here for these 3 nights to avoid having further problems. Yesterday, I was threatened a little bit with the anchors pulling out, the auger anchors that I have that hold the boat to shore. So I repositioned them last night into a little bit firmer soil, a little farther up the hill. They seem to be holding better, although the wind started out stronger this morning. It said up to 40 kilometers per hour, which is, I forget what that is, about 25 miles an hour. There were some gusts today, but the gusts actually were worse yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, I went up on the hill. There was a place I found some firewood, and I dragged that down to a place that I thought I might have a fire last night if the weather moderated a bit, and it did. So went up, I guess it was about 8:30 last night before dark, but started a fire and ended up sitting there for till 11. I think I came in at 11, and it was a great fire. The wood is really super dry, and it just burned really hot. I have a picture that I'll show of what was left this morning. I just walked up there to take a look to see what the ashes were that were left, and it was just completely burned. There wasn't a thing left. In fact, it would be difficult for somebody, unless they're right on top of it, to even know there was a fire there. And right now, I just see it's raining. Just some droplets coming down. I'm just kicking back today, reading. I can't get my Pandora music to work. I think they shut me down. I got trapped in that last year, where if you don't have recent online usage, then they won't let you do the offline for very long. I don't know what the time limit is or how they determine that, but bottom line is, when you take a trip, you better make sure you've been online for a few days. Otherwise, they'll shut you down, and that's what happened to me on this trip. It nearly happened to me on Rainy last year in the fall, but I happened to be in cell range, and so I went online immediately, and then that started the clock again, I guess. The problem is that I can't get any cell service here. I evidently, once in a while, I'll get a bar. When I try to connect, it won't connect to anything. I don't know if my service just isn't. I'm basically T-Mobile, and if they don't have T-Mobile service in this area, I'm in trouble. Although it should be able to do it roaming, but I was not able to connect. Might hike up on top of the hill here later today and see if perchance I can connect some way to get my music back, because that's a big drawback. I mean, I'll listen to audiobooks most of the day, can do that, but I like some variety, and the music breaks things up, and while I'm cooking and stuff like that, it's just very relaxing to have the music. So I'm disappointed in that happening to me. There's so many factors when you make a trip like this, that's where you're self-contained for 2 weeks. Just so many things to take into account, and sometimes I forget something like that. In spite of notes, things to remind me, I still forget stuff. We'll reevaluate, but I think based on the winds that I'm seeing, we should be go in the morning, and then I'm planning to go about 11 to 12 miles up the lake here, make up for a little bit of lost time. It looks like the weather should be reasonable right through the next few days into the weekend, but Monday they're showing rain, so I don't know what that means. As we get closer, I'll take a look at the forecast. Rain doesn't necessarily bother me in terms of moving. It's more of a pain in the neck just trying to tie up to shore because of the mud that's created by the rain. As I mentioned in one of my other videos a day or two ago, when I tied up here, I ended up falling flat on my face in the mud because it got cut off because the battery went dead. So I stuck a new battery in. I've got to charge this one up. I'm going through a battery about every other day with the amount of filming I'm doing. I'm trying to do a little bit more description of what's going on along the trip. Hopefully this will be interesting to people that would want to do something similar to this. It is really cozy here. I've got the heater going right now because it's 55 degrees out, and the wind is still blowing about 20 miles an hour. So the wind chill is really low. I don't know what it would be, but it's cold. I tried to wash dishes outside in the aft deck this morning. I usually rinse before I wash inside, and boy, my hands just got cold. Water is only about 45 degree temperature anyway, so the water here is real cold, much colder than I would expect, but it is a river, so maybe that's accounts for it a little bit, coming from the further north. This is the Missouri, a wide area of the Missouri River. Inside, of course, it was fine, but then I had the hot water. It was so hot that I burned my hands on the water, so one extreme to another. But overall, it's really cozy in here. I feel a little more confident with my anchor holds, and in spite of it being a little gloomy out, I have plenty of books to read. I've got audiobooks. Like I said, no music right now, but I may have to come up with some solutions in the long run to have that something else as a backup. Just some MP3s. Prefer to have something. Anyway, that's enough for now. We'll talk a little bit later. While I'm sitting here inside, I bring my chair inside sometimes to make it a little more comfortable for sitting long term, especially when I'm reading a book like this one. Sitting in the settee is a little bit straight backed, not very comfortable if you're reading for an hour or two. And it's cloudy, it's still windy, it's cold outside, so I was thinking about going for a hike, but it's just too windy up on the slopes. I think it wouldn't be pleasant. I'm kind of hidden down behind the hills here, protecting me from the wind, and it's doing its job. So right now I'm just having some chocolates, my chocolate covered almonds from Costco, which are my favorite, and a glass of red wine. Chomping down on a few of these nuts, they go right great with red wine, and read my book. This afternoon, that's the plan. I thought about taking a nap, but it's 2 o'clock already. I'm not sure I'm tired enough to take a nap. Got good rest last night, caught up, so I'm just relaxing. Kind of cooped up today because of the cold weather, but that's all right. That happens in the winter if you're in a cabin too, so sometimes that's just the way it is. Usually about 3:30, 4, somewhere's in there, I'll start making dinner. Today it's nothing fancy. I'm just going to have some chicken wild rice soup, usually with a salad and a hot roll and some wine, and probably be white wine. Anyway, cheers. I just went out for a walk and about froze half to death. Walked up around the outside of this mountain that's kind of keeping me blocked from the wind. So when I walked around that north side of the hill, it just wind blasted me. Wind chill, temperatures right now is about 55, and the wind chill is got to be down around 40. I didn't have any gloves on. I had my down vest, but I was freezing to death. So I turned around and came back, got back in my nice warm boat with the heater going, and listened to my audiobook. Right now I'm listening to Blood Hollow by William Kent Kruger. Poured myself another glass of Bailey's to just sit here and relax and kill the evening on board the boat where it's warm because it's just too cold out there, which is unseasonable. It's really very cold for this time of the year. You would expect more maybe back in early April, mid-April, or something in October, maybe mid-October, but not this in late May. This is pretty close to June here, and it's very cold and very uncomfortable. It's very cloudy, pretty much full cloud cover, although the solar's done well today. I think we've gotten up to 100%. I think it's now down about 98. It still does well considering all the cloud cover we've had. I'm very pleased with my new modification, which switched over from 2 portable 120 watt panels to fixed 200 watt panels, which brings me up from 240 to 400 watts. And that difference in wattage really makes a difference. It's performing quite well, and I'm very pleased. Pretty much every day I've been reaching 100%, no matter whether I have clouds or not. That's what I was hoping for, because it's quite an investment to do that change. But so far it's been working out. The real test will be late in the year, because even though we're in May, the sun is pretty high because we're only a month away from the solar solstice in June, the high point of the summer for the sun. So we're a lot closer to summer solstice than we are to the fall, when I'm quite a ways away from that. And like in September, especially late September, early October, you're getting pretty low angles on the sun. So that's where it's going to be a real test. So we'll see in the fall how things work out, but I'm hopeful that it will be successful. Anyway, I probably won't do any more video today. I'm going to probably hit the sack early tonight, since there's not much I can do outside. I looked a little bit. I was kind of going out there to see if I could find some firewood, but I didn't find anything. I'm just surprised I found any yesterday, the day before. When I found that firewood, I was kind of surprised. There's no explanation as to why it was there. There was some pretty good chunks of wood there, and they were different sizes. There's nothing around there that would explain the presence of that wood, so I don't know why it was there. Nevertheless, I used it, and it was a nice hot fire last night. I stayed out till 11 o'clock. I don't normally stay up that late, but the fire was so nice. It was kind of enjoyable, even though it was cool out. The fire was so hot that I had to actually move my chair back, and I have a nice hole in it because an ember flew up and went between my legs and burned a hole. Fortunately, not in me, but in the seat of my chair. So one of the drawbacks of being too close to the fire, I guess. Anyway, good night, folks. We'll see you the next time.